the stories so real, lifting spirits high. In the rhythm of healing, let our words fly. Mind and body reunited, let's take a step. Cannabis dreams and the light of the sun. We're turning the tide, we're all becoming one. With every new story, our hearts start to mend. In this podcast of life, there's hope round the bend.
Hello, world, and we're back. This is Ryan, aka the Healing Chef, aka Groundson's Corner, aka a lot of names. But my name is Ryan. This is the Healing Chef's podcast. Healing Chef's podcast is all about making each other not feel so alone. Talk about natural remedies and the things that are difficult to talk about. But especially nowadays with our natural remedies, everywhere is like flagged and stuff. So we'll just leave it at that for right now, for at least the first minute, so YouTube can back off. But Healing Chef's podcast is all about healing and stuff like that, and helping each other out. Chef comes from the word chief meaning leader. Every person I have on here is a leader in their own right, I believe. And today's chef is Margaret of the Bite Me podcast. How are we doing, Margaret? Thank you very much for coming. I'm glad we got this set up, but thanks again. It's I'm excited for this.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Hell yeah. So I know that you have your podcast and it's all about baking stuff but if you could just enlighten the listeners, viewers, and exactly what you do, and then we'll get into your journey.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Margaret, and I'm really excited to be here today because I often do the interviewing. It's not too often that I get to be interviewed, so this is kind of a nice change. But I'm the host of Bite Me, the show about edibles. And that podcast came about in 2019. So it's been 5.5 years of weekly episodes. And basically it's around making edibles at home. So tackling that whole project, if you will, because a lot of people find making edibles pretty intimidating when they first start out. So that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm testing out recipes in my home kitchen and then talking about them on the show. And then I also get the opportunity to interview a lot of other industry leaders and experts around the topic, primarily around edibles, but I do branch out into other stuff as well that interests me because, as I'm sure you know, it's my show, so I can do what I want. So.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah. I love it. Can't cancel me because I pay for this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And where are you from?
I am in Ontario, Canada.
I could hear it in the ooh. There was a bout or something in there.
Was there? Oh,
yeah. No, it's very subtle, but there's a lot of Canadian people that come to Arizona, especially during the winter stuff.
Yeah. You're familiar with the Canadian accent, then?
I catch on real quick.
Yeah.
Also, don't judge me, but I grew up watching with my grandpa Red Green and all that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, well, Red Green's awesome.
Green's the best.
Yeah. Yeah, the next iteration of that is to try Trailer Park Boys.
I watched that. I listened to their podcast.
Yeah.
If you go to my TikTok, I actually made a TikTok out of their little podcast at one point in time because Bubbles asked him, he's like, Ricky, do you even know what a light year is? He's like, yeah, it's when you don't work hard for a year.
I think everybody needs a light year right about now.
Yeah. A lot of my years are light years. That's why I'm broke. But we'll go ahead and jump into the first segment, which is Cannabis Journey. Little walk through the woods. Awesome. And shout out to all the Canadians in America. There's a lot of us that still love you.
I hope so.
There's so much silly drama. But Americans, we get fired up over sports. We get fired up over everything. But so Cannabis Journey is all about how you found cannabis and then where you're at with it now. Like myself, I started smoking, and I'm not just talking just like how like the seeds and stems and stuff, like which brick is what I started, but I started smoking just to like, have fun and stuff like that. More nowadays, I'm smoking for pain, anxiety, stuff like to help manage some things instead of having to take prescriptions. And don't get me wrong, I smoke to have fun too, but like I it's a multi-tool for me.
Yeah, so I guess, I mean, like a lot of people, my cannabis journey started when I was at the ripe young age of 14, when a friend and I decided, hey, we're going to score some weed. We thought this would be a really good idea. I was also at that stage of my life where I was just like wanting to rebel against my parents, who were very anti-cannabis at the time. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
Um, so she came and we had a little sleepover. We managed to find some weed. We rolled it up. I don't know. Looking back, I'm not even really sure. The joint must have been terrible because neither of us had any experience with this stuff. I don't even remember how we ground it up because I don't think either of us had grinders. But so we snuck out of the house like when everybody else was asleep, and we go to like a nearby park and we light it up. And she proceeds to get high. And I was just like, it was like crickets. I was just like, I don't feel anything. And that
Yeah.
was my first experience. Now,
Damn.
after not long after that, I had the opportunity to smoke some hash because I was
Mm.
around like starting out in my cannabis journey at a magical time when finding really good hash was pretty easy. It was everywhere. And so when I finally did get high for the first time, it wasn't long after that. And bottle tokes and hashish
Yeah.
like started me out on that magical journey to where I am now. And things have changed quite a bit. I still love hash, but I'm also obviously really into edibles.
Mm.
And I'm not really like back in that, like when I was in high school, I was, wake and baking, smoking all day, skipping class, like, all that kind of stuff.
What do you
Now,
mean back in the day?
yeah, now I'm a little more responsible about it.
Oh yeah, me too.
I tend to use it more. Well, I mean, I use it a lot for relaxation. It's how I like to unwind in the evenings. I
Right.
tend to eat edibles a lot in the evenings. I do a lot of like low dose THC, 1-to-1 ratios, CBD during the day, and do the higher potency stuff in the evenings when I don't really have to when I'm trying to slow the brain down from all the, you know, never ending
Everything.
thoughts about things I have to do. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. So it's changed a bit. And I also use it, for some pain relief. I use a ton of topicals because, like a lot of people my
Mm.
age, I have lower back pain, and the topicals are a lifesaver for sure.
Yeah, my age too.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I make a lot of different things, especially for other people. And that you were right. It's really hard for people with to make edibles and stuff. And then people ask me, I don't know how you handle this, but people ask me exactly how to do this and which method is better. Here's my answer. My answer, the best way to medicate or to infuse oil, butter, whatever, use whatever oil or butter is getting RSO. It's already
Yeah.
activated.
Mhm.
You put your butter in the microwave and you heat it up in like a glass thing or a white container. That way you can see if any oil's on the walls of the thing. But you heat that up till it's melted. You squeeze that stuff in there, stir it up real quick. The THC attaches to the fat cells. Then it's med. Then now you have THC butter. Also, it has CBD and all the other compounds because it's RSO.
Mhm.
Now, then from there you can put that into any thing. My whole thing is trying to like people always want to know efficacy, how to get the right percentage and stuff. But me being a chef, I know that there's so many variables in what you're doing. You're like even sauces, you're leaving stuff on the sides of the pans and stuff like that. So you have to like evaluate, like not evaluate, equate the loss and stuff like that. How do you explain to people? Because as you can see, I start spiraling
Like
into
how
possibilities
I
and
mean, making edible, like using the RSO or concentrates is great. I don't have a lot of experience with that yet, but
mm,
I'm starting to play with it a little more because a lot of people have been talking about it more recently. And I think in large part it's because it can be more precisely dosed, but that only
yes,
works if you know the potency of the RSO. Because I have people
right,
that have given me syringes of RSO and they're like, I have no idea how potent it is.
yeah, they don't work.
Yeah. So that makes it tricky. But I mean, I have something called a T-check, which I could test the potency of the butter afterwards.
Mm,
But you can also use flour and put that in with the butter as well. Like there's a lot of different ways you can do it. It doesn't need to be complicated. The most important step is probably to remember to decarb if you're going to use flour, because then you can also use that decarb flour without infusing it because it's activated already. So if you're
mm,
like, I don't want to get into all that stuff, I just want to sprinkle it on my salad or like mix it in with I don't know. I've used it in flour for cookies, like made cookies
yeah.
with it and stuff, and it works just as well. You might just have to be more concerned about masking the flavor a little bit more. But if you're putting it with something that has like a strong flavor, like say peanut butter, in a peanut butter cookie or something, it's probably not good. It's going to be masked pretty good. But yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, adding soda butter is a really easy way to get started infusing.
That's nice. That's good information. Every once in a while when I want to make like an edible and stuff and I don't want to be too drowsy or anything, I don't worry too much about sativa or anything. Like I like to
Mhm.
make these chocolate cookies, but put in some coffee grounds and
Right.
into the mix, so it also helps mask the THC too. So
Mhm.
that's a little trick I'll give you guys. I'm not giving you everything.
Yeah, and chocolate's great too because it's got like it's a high like there's a lot of fat in chocolate as well,
Yeah,
and THC binds to fat. So it
definitely.
loves all that fatty stuff for
And
sure.
then, but more often, I don't know what you use for oils and stuff like that. I tend to use coconut oil,
Mhm.
higher absorption rate, and it works easier in our bodies. Plus, I think it leaves a better flavor here and there. I mean, nothing better than like some brown butter, but uh,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
coconut
Butter's
oil,
good. I like coconut oil. I also like olive oil because that's pretty nice. Sometimes I do MCT oil instead of coconut oil because it stays liquid, which
mm,
can be good as well. And a lot of that stuff, if you're infusing those fats or oils, you could like even mix it in with like a hot beverage and
yeah,
enjoy it that way as well.
that's pretty good. That's pretty good. We'll have to come up with something and maybe like share a recipe with some people or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Figure out something, but awesome. And then do you do any like I mean, I'm sorry, I didn't like do as much research as I should. You have so much on the link tree. um,
Yeah, I know.
but you have a club. Do you guys like bake and like share experiences or
Yeah.
is yeah, so
Yeah. So there's the Bite Me Cannabis Club,
right.
and I started that a little while ago. I've really been taking it more seriously in the last few months because I started it maybe a year ago and didn't do a whole lot with it. But that was in part because as a podcaster, as I'm sure you know, it feels like a very one-sided conversation.
Yes.
I mean, unless you have a guest on, but like you know that there's people out there listening, but you can't interact with them in any kind of way. And this club was just a way to sort of bring cannabis lovers together to connect, learn, and create. And there's a chef in there that posts monthly videos to like with a whole recipe that he's infused, and they're pretty
Okay.
spectacular, I will say, because I'm also not a professional chef,
Hmm.
which is why a lot of people resonate with what I'm doing because they're like, well, if I can do it, you can do it, believe me. But Adam is a professional chef and he's doing these monthly videos, and we have like weekly events and all kinds of other stuff going on inside the club. People are asking questions and getting help, and yeah, it's a lot of
Really
fun.
cool. Heck yeah. I
Yeah.
love that. Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out what we can do in regards to interactions and stuff. There's plenty of conventions and stuff of cannabis and stuff around here that I'm eventually going to get on, but life has been getting in the way, but we're building back up. So you know how it goes. One step forward, two steps back, whatever.
Absolutely.
Paul Abdul.
Yeah, I am very familiar with that whole idea, especially working in the cannabis space, right? Like it has some unique challenges that you wouldn't get in any other industry.
Yeah, and I've just seen so many different like brands and different groups of people come around and they stick around for like maybe a year or two or something, but it just seems like year three is the killer.
Right.
Year three is the killer. It's like sophomore year rough, third year devastating.
Yeah.
So if you can keep going from there, I think you'll be all right.
Right.
But then again, I don't know. This podcast is all about just trying to help people. I'm not even trying to make no money, but maybe eventually. But um, yeah, I I love edibles. I wish I could eat more of them, but then I get kind of caught in a cycle.
Okay.
And I'll eat an edible, then I'll get high, and I'm like, I'm hungry, and then
Oh,
and then I eat something else, and then and it's just like a cycle. It's just a cycle. So I need to find some stuff that's a little more like because I'm getting back in the gym and whatnot. I need to find like some gummies and stuff. Not maybe not these because these are shrooms, but
right.
that's not gonna help. But uh, do you have any suggestions of more healthy versions of things to eat that, unlike myself, and all I ever think about is cookies, pot cakes, and uh, brownies on?
Yeah, actually, that's a great question because a lot of people have asked me that the same thing over the years. I personally have a sweet tooth, so I'm drawn to like the cookies and stuff. So that's when I started the show. I did a lot of, I still do cookies and brownies and all the sweets, but
Mm.
I recognize that not everybody wants to eat sweets, and so on my show, I've done all kinds of things. Like one of the ones that popped into my head was just the date balls. Like
Mm.
you can make them like a protein date ball. I've done stuff like that. So it's more like an energy bite, I guess, for lack of a better word for it.
So like an energy, like a one of those, I don't even know what to call them, those bars that you get in the store
Yeah.
in a pack. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But in
Something like
ball
that.
form,
It has like dates and dried fruit,
words and
like
things.
nuts and yeah,
Yeah,
words and other words and things.
yeah.
I've done a lot of like sauces and condiments.
Mm.
I've done hummus, guacamole. Like you can infuse literally anything. So,
Right. If
I
there's
mean,
oil or fat, it's
yeah,
it's that easy.
it is that easy. Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
what I like to tell people. Yeah, that sounds great. I need to. You just made me think of something unhealthy. Like, I used to make these bacon wrapped chorizo stuffed dates
Oh,
with
that's not really unhealthy though. Come on.
with with with
That
like a
sounds pretty
stone
good.
ground mustard, like sauce underneath or whatever. And yeah, there's fruit in there.
Right. Right.
That's awfully right.
I
But
mean, that
yeah,
sounds
I
really
would
good.
end up infusing the chorizo itself. But yeah, that's good. Yeah, we need to, maybe that's something that you and I can maybe collab on. Figure out something to write down about a healthy recipe to share with people. But
Yeah.
dope. Heck yeah, we'll go ahead and jump into the next segment, which is Trip Tales. I'm getting beamed up. All right.
Indian body. Yeah.
Yeah, or the alien. Just let's go. Get me
Yeah,
out of
I
here.
know. Yeah.
Let's. I've seen you. Let's go.
What are you waiting for?
I seriously, I saw him in Sedona recently when I was there, and I saw like so many I couldn't even count, and I just like at a certain point, I just started getting overwhelmed. Like I've always wanted to like see him or whatnot, and then I was actually tripping off of some shrooms and molly. Uh, and I'm just like, what? Well, now what do I do? Like, I see them. They're moving when I ask them to move. They're doing all this stuff. But now what? And then it's this certain point. I'm like, you know what? I'm over it. You're not even like I've seen them. You're not coming down. I don't know. There's nowhere else to go with this. Like,
Right.
I'm like,
Yeah.
all right, cool, bye. But that was a recent psychedelic experience for myself. And I recorded it to make sure that I wasn't just seeing things. And it's on IG right now at
Okay.
underscore healing chefs. It's one of the reels. It's a black, and there's a couple lights. Watch that whole thing. There's so many out there. And I zoom in on them. They're doing all sorts of weird
That's
stuff.
wild.
Oh my gosh, it'll blow your mind. So do you have any psychedelic experiences or news or even questions and stuff like that? I don't know. Not everyone does psychedelics, so.
Yeah, I mean, I've done psychedelics. It's been a little while since I've done them, and I was actually thinking of doing them again because I was like cleaning some stuff up and I have some stock. So, you know,
Oh.
It's not like I have to go and find it. Yeah.
Look at
Yeah.
this. Look at this. Look at this.
Are those chocolate bars?
These are tea bags.
Oh, cool.
Dude,
Yeah, I know a lot of people that like to make
tea
mushroom
bag.
tea.
Yeah, these are
They just
tea
find it
bags,
easier on the gut when they do it
screen
that way. Yeah.
wrapped chocolates, gummies.
Yeah. And,
That
back when I
Alpha
was
Utopia.
a kid, like in high school, I did quite a bit of acid, like a lot of
Yeah, I just
it's
did
good.
some 2 days ago.
Yeah. I haven't done that since like I was probably early 20s though, and I think it's partly because of the time commitment. Like mushrooms
Mhm.
is a much shorter time commitment that as opposed to acid, which just seems to be quite a bit longer. So just more difficult to set aside that time to do that. But
You're not wrong.
yeah, yeah. But I really enjoy mushrooms and, spending a day at a lakeside cottage type thing. This is one of my favorite ways to consume them because I just
Close
even
to
things
nature.
like watching the clouds or the trees breathe or like whatever is
Oh, that's
just
so good.
my sweet spot. And I'm pretty specific about what I like because I have had friends that like to, eat mushrooms and go to a festival. And I'm not that kind of like, I'm not that person.
Me neither.
And set and setting is so important and it
Mhm.
differs for everybody. So, and that applies to cannabis as well, but with mushrooms, it's so important. And that whole festival atmosphere, for me, it doesn't work. I like to have something more calm, be around nature with, close friends.
Mhm.
So that's my vibe. And I've tried growing them in the past as well. And I would
Oh,
say
nice.
that that's super fun. It's a lot of fun. If you like growing cannabis, then you will also enjoy growing mushrooms.
Nice. Yeah, I need to try to grow both. Ryan talking take 2.
Yeah.
I need to try to grow both. But cannabis first. I was on the path of that and then relationship, no relationship, back to planning.
Right. I
But
would
yeah,
say almost mushrooms are probably easier than cannabis because as someone who's also grown both, I've grown great mushrooms and I've grown okay cannabis
okay.
for a lot
Yeah.
of reasons, like just not
There's
having ideal conditions. The conditions matter so much more for cannabis than they do for mushrooms,
mhm.
and just the equipment and the setup that you need is a lot less. Like it just is. I find
Mushrooms just kinda do their thing. I mean, as long as you keep them
yeah,
clean and sterile and whatnot.
yeah,
Um, yeah, cannabis way harder.
yeah,
Yeah, I would bet.
I can confirm. Yeah,
Um, but so yeah, recently I did some acid, and for me, acid is definitely an 8 to 10 hour commitment. Um,
exactly.
the last 4 hours though are kind of not as much, but it's still there. Um, and I was just talking to somebody recently. We have Bicycle Day coming up, and they didn't know what Bicycle Day was. Bicycle Day is the day that they came up with acid, and he took the bike ride. And as he's on the bike ride, he just started tripping
Yes.
harder,
I
and he's like,
forgot about that. I've heard of the bicycle day, yeah.
"That's April 19th." So you
Yeah,
have Bicycle Day, and then you have 420
right.
to recoup.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um, so, but yeah, and recently I had a trip that which I was kind of avoiding it for a while because I wasn't really happy in the relationship is what I thought I should be. And then we kind of separated. I took a trip and I realized, yeah, this isn't like she's a great person. She has good kids and all that kind of stuff and everything. It just her and I weren't working out. And I just had to have a moment and be like, I can be miserable the rest of my life and make this person miserable because it's just not working
yeah,
out. Because we're just kind of forcing each other to be who we wanted each other to be. But then we had some good conversations afterwards, and I'm gonna try to be friends. But if that doesn't work out, that's okay too. But um, psychedelics recently really helped me with that because I was kind of stuck in a spot. So
right. I love that
sometimes
too, because that recognition that, like, you're not happy, which means you're not you're not showing up as your best self if you're not
mhm,
happy in a relationship, and a lot of people would just sort of ride that out because being with somebody is easier than potentially
wanted each other to be. But then we had some good conversations afterwards, and I'm gonna try to be friends, but if that doesn't work out, that's okay too. But um, psychedelics recently really helped me with that because I was kind of stuck in a spot. So
Right. I love that
sometimes.
too, because that recognition that like you're not happy, which means you're not, you're not showing up as your best self if you're not
Mhm.
happy in a relationship. And a lot of people would just sort of ride that out because being with somebody is easier than potentially breaking up and all that uncertainty that comes with it. So,
Mhm.
it's pretty cool that you gain that insight with the help of psychedelics too.
With the help of psychedelics, also, I have my dad. I grew up with my dad being with my stepmom, and she really ran him. Now, who I was seeing wasn't anywhere close to that, but there were some similarities here and there, and that's why I was like, no,
Mhm.
I don't think so, because we're just kind of bringing out the not good sides. We should be like boosting each other up to be better, not to go backwards. So,
Mhm.
we both happier. I've talked to her recently. It's good stuff. But yeah, thank you psychedelics for helping me be able to, you know, like think about these things. Think it really helps me think about the hard things, and there's no escaping it.
Right.
Like it makes you. So this was the first time. Usually, acid for me is always like an up, like happy kind of a vibe. This was a little bit like not the last time, but like a week or two, like a week ago when I did it, or 2 weeks ago, I can't remember now. It was kind of like a sad, but like it was a therapeutic high. It was the first acid high that I had that was more therapeutic. I avoid shrooms and stuff when I'm in those kind of moods
Mhm.
because shrooms immediately hit me with the negative parts of everything. And
Right.
I think that's their way of kind of like, you're gonna deal with this shit and we're gonna get it over real quick.
Yeah, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, here it comes.
Yeah.
Acid is just like, do you want to think about it? Because it's not gonna and yeah. So, but it came out really well. So if you guys are looking for something, make sure you guys have a sitter and stuff if you do these things. I do these things raw dogging, and it's not always the smartest. I've talked to a lot of friends that actually have broken their psyche with
Mhm.
psychedelics. So
Are you taking large doses when you do these types of
not that much.
trips?
I
Okay.
took one gel tab, which is about 100 to 200 UG, and
Okay, that's
then
for the acid, the micrograms.
yeah, and then the the shrooms and stuff I take maybe 2 grams at a time. I like, and then sometimes I'll take like a tab and some shrooms, but
Mhm.
that's when I'm getting crazy. Like
Yeah.
I'm just having a good time. I want to see
Right.
some shit. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
but no, I don't go that hard because I respect them.
Yeah. 'Cause I did one time, like an ex-partner and I, we tripped sat for each other and we just tripped alone and like
Mhm.
at separate times. So he did it at first. I think he ate 3 or 4 grams and I wasn't in the room with him. I was just somewhere else. But in case he needed something, right? Like
Right.
it is nice to know that somebody's there if you're freaking out or something's going wrong or you
Yes.
want a sandwich or whatever.
Mhm.
And then a few weeks later, I did the same thing. And he sort of hovered around while I did it. But typically, I'm not taking 3 or 4 grams at a time because
Right.
that can be a lot. The last time I
It's
did
a
a couple
lot.
of grams, it was a lot stronger than I remembered it, and I was very high. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Again, be careful with what you're doing. That's why I don't
Yeah,
go too big on doses. Like I think I can handle it, but I would want somebody there to help guide me, like, because there's gonna be times where I'm like, what? And then and they just be like, it's a drug, you're okay.
yeah,
None of that's real.
yeah,
Like, oh, okay. And then here's some weed. Calm down.
yeah.
You know what I mean? That's a big thing. Everybody listen. If you're gonna do psychedelics, and you smoke weed, smoke a good amount, and smoke it like like you need to drink water. Smoke it before you need it. It's because as soon as you need it, it's, you're already past it.
Right. Yeah,
Now you can catch up and smoke and like calm yourself down, but the biggest thing is flower, not just dabs. Flower because you get the CBD. CBD is anti-inflammatory, antipsychotic. So any of those crazy things like that will get calmed down by that CBD and everything, and you'll enjoy yourself way more. Um, what also helps is eating large dose edibles.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll calm your ass down.
Yeah. Yeah, it would. Yeah.
I suggest if you're gonna eat shrooms or something like that, eat some eat a edible first, and then eat that stuff. So the edible kind of takes in, and then when they start to come up, you're not going as crazy as whatever.
That's something I've never done. I've never eaten edibles and mushrooms at the same time.
Oh my god, so much. Like,
Huh.
yeah, so much. When I try to take mushrooms, I take a heavy dose edible, heavy dose, 200 milligrams minimum.
Damn.
Because I know myself, and I don't want that paranoia or that anxiety to creep up on me.
Mm-hmm.
So the weed comes in, and I'm just like, I know what plugs. That's part of my puzzle. Weed is the puzzle piece that fits and calms everything down, makes everything a little bit better. So when I'm tripping, I'm either smoking a lot or eating a lot of weed.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I should try that next time.
Awesome. Well, we're going to go ahead and jump into the next segment. In between here is a little break where our sponsor goes, but we'll go ahead and jump into the next segment, which is mental health is wealth. Excuse me, everybody. Hiccup. Mental health is wealth is all about, the dealing with the craziness of life, and kind of putting the cannabis and psychedelics together. But also, I like to ask, like I said earlier, if you can share any of your coping mechanisms so we can fill up everyone's toolbox. So when they're going through some stuff, maybe they have some things that they can help themselves with.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I feel like I have a few different things. Cannabis is one of them, obviously. I do find that helps me it puts me in a good mood. So there's that. But I also do like to do things like I meditate, which I know a lot of people are probably like, oh God, like meditation. But I just find it's more the process, not necessarily how you're meditating, because nobody ever really feels like they're doing it right. But just taking that time to sort of pause and slow down, I think is so helpful, because our brain is always racing, and to try and quiet it I find really helpful. And there's something about like maybe some of the deeper breathing exercises that can really calm the nervous system if you're feeling fired up. So if I'm feeling fired up about something, often meditation is one of the first things that I'll do, because I think, again, it just sort of tries to calm the mind and calm the nervous system. I recommend therapy, of course. I've been doing therapy for a little while, and it's been immensely helpful. And I think it's just talking to somebody that, has a very objective point of view. Like, they don't know me beyond, me, what I tell them and going to therapy. And they obviously don't have any kind of opinion. So that's really great. And of course, surrounding yourself with good people that you can also talk to if you're having an issue coming up. What else? I feel like there's a lot of things I've been doing, because I went through a big breakup just over a year ago myself. So I've been having to deal with a lot of coping mechanisms.
So much fun.
Yeah, so much fun. I go for a lot of walks. I like to walk. I like to get my 10,000 steps, but I find just getting out and getting a little exercise is really helpful as well.
That's key.
Yeah.
Moving, about to say physicality. That doesn't.
Yeah, physicality. I don't know if you've ever heard of the term forest bathing. And that's basically, it sort of has Japanese origin, that whole
Well, it makes sense, because I'm partially from Missouri, and you just like triggered something, like that feeling when I would walk in, like
yes,
I
you
would
walk
leave
in the woods and you smell like the pine or whatever the trees are, like
openness and everything.
it's just it just makes you feel so good. And so there is a term for that, is forest bathing. And so I like to do that when I can. If I can go for a walk in the woods, then that's something else that's really nice to do, especially where I am, the weather's getting better. The wintertime can be really dark and dreary in Canada where I am. And now that the sun's starting to shine again, the days are getting longer. It just feels so nice to be outside. So
Heck yeah. I need to go visit Canada.
yeah,
The
you do.
Canadians. Um, yeah, with all of us deal with all sorts of different things, and a lot of us are quiet about it. A lot of nowadays there's also a lot of triggering from social media and obviously political things nowadays. They got us fired up on every single thing.
Yeah,
So that meditation, I see meditation and manifestation really as the same kind of thing,
right.
right? So you need to take time and focus. If not, you don't have to sit and go and shit like that. But even just sitting quietly, I feel also when I work out, it's a bit of a meditation.
Yeah, absolutely.
I
Yeah.
mean, I am listening to crazy music, but I mean, I'm thinking about so many things and handling things, and um, as stereotypical and cliche and douchey as it sounds, like when I lift something heavy and I move that thing and I get that set done and I feel accomplished, that's dopamine in there, and I'm like, shit, if I can do that, this other little thing over here ain't shit. Like
Right.
this
And a
is
lot of the times
this
when you're
is
doing
emotion. I can handle emotion.
right. Like,
This
when
is
you're engaging
physical.
in that kind of physical activity, like lifting weights
Mhm.
or something similar, you do have to concentrate to a degree because you don't wanna drop something on your foot or drop something on your head or whatever.
Mm.
And so that's also partly why it's I mean, you're not just doing something good for your body, but your mind is having to focus on that activity instead of,
Um,
like, the laundry list of things to do or, what happened in the last fight you had with somebody or that kind of thing. So,
that
exercise, I think, is a
very
great
true.
yeah.
Because as much as sometimes that I have things flying through my mind, at that time, only thing that really exists is the workout. Um,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
and once that's done, then you're outside, and then you're like, okay, back back to
Right.
reality. What's going on here?
Yeah.
Okay, but that's not that bad because I just kicked my ass in there,
Right.
so we're good. Um, but yeah, if I've really more lately have just solidified that I have to work out. There's no way around it. When I don't work out, I start to gain weight. I start to get lazy and cranky and tired and shit like that. Old manish.
Yeah. Yep.
So when I'm working out, energetic and happy and doing all this stuff, I'm like, oh, okay. like younger me is just trying to fight so many different things because I just want to do this. I'm so smart. No. But yeah, mental health. I do the therapy, which is kind of hard with the VA. I'm on the civilian side, but the place that I go, these people that I have, they leave. Like
Mhm.
I'm on my third one,
Right.
so that's a thing to deal with. But I don't know. I'm doing pretty good. I'm pretty proud of myself with the relationship thing. Way to go, you. I know it's not easy getting through a broke up.
Yeah.
It's not easy for me to talk. It's not easy to get through a breakup. But that's one thing that with my mental health that I needed to get back to me. I felt
Yeah.
like I lost a lot of me in that relationship because I just wanted to give and give and give, and then eventually I'm looking around. I'm like, bro, what are you doing?
Mhm.
Like, I love you, dude, but this ain't it, man. This we're putting the square in the circle hole. It's not working.
Right.
So
Yeah.
we def that. So shout out to everyone going through anything. I'm sure everyone's going through something. But hell yeah. So do you want anything else to mental health or?
I think sometimes one other thing I would like to add is just the how helpful it can be to just sort of sit with feelings because
Mm,
a lot of the times we ignore them and they often express themselves in our body in a really concrete way, but we also ignore that a lot of the times. And sometimes just sitting with difficult feelings is really illuminating. And I think we don't do it enough. We like to push them aside and ignore them, but when you sit with them, I think you can manage them better. And we're all emotional beings. as much as we don't like to talk about that, but I
Yeah.
think that's important too. And that's something I've worked on myself, because I probably a couple of years ago, I was maybe not very good at doing that. But sometimes sitting with uncomfortable things can help us manage and process them so they're not uncomfortable later, if that makes
Ye-
sense.
Absolutely. You're hitting home, because I'm like, I was walking around in the latter parts of that relationship, and even my subconscious, like I wasn't feeling well, and in my subconscious, I'm like, why don't I feel well? I can't talk. Why don't I feel well? And my whatever answer, the universe, my subconscious, whatever, is like, you're not happy. I'm like, nah, I'm happy.
Right.
Already, like, are you? Nah, that doesn't even sound convincing. Like,
Yeah.
and then I'm like, no, I'm happy. Like, I got, and then no, you're not.
Yeah. And,
Oh,
your body's probably trying to tell you that, but it's just so easy to be like, that's nothing. That doesn't mean anything. But it actually
yeah,
informs us of a lot.
yeah. I listen to the universe quite a bit.
Yeah.
And it like a previous guest, Audie, she said, the universe doesn't steer me wrong. Hasn't ever, never. So thank you. Shout out to our exes.
For making us better people.
Hey,
That's right.
hey, the lessons are blessings. So
Yep.
thank you very much for sharing that. We'll go ahead and jump into the last segment here, which is plug talk. All right. And plug talk is all about promo, and just this is your time to plug yourself.
Yeah, well, for anybody listening, if you're really interested in edibles, Bite Me, the show about edibles, Bite Me podcast, that is where you'll find me. Bite Me podcast is a website as well. And I have like an online calculator you can use to calculate the potency of your edibles.
Awesome.
I have recipes over there, all the blog posts for every episode. So, if I mention something, I try and put the links in there. So there's all kinds of fun things happening on Bite Me Podcast, but the show is available on all your favorite podcasting platforms. So if you like using Spotify or whatever, you'll find it there. And then there's the Bite Me Cannabis Club, which I mentioned earlier. And you can check that out by going to joinbiteme.com as well.
Go there at
Yes.
joinbiteme.com. Also
Yes.
on IG at Bite Me Podcast, all one word.
Yes.
And yeah, the link tree. Go to the link tree there, and go to every single link in there. If you don't, I'll know.
Right.
I'm just kidding. Heck yeah. And do you have any anything coming up? New episode? You're dropping once a week. You're
I do.
way
Yeah.
more consistent than me.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get there, but
episodes every Thursday. And I do have a couple of interviews coming out one's coming out next month. One I'm recording this coming week. I'm not sure when that one will be out. But the one upcoming is with Vanessa Lavarado, and she is I don't know if she's a chef, but she's done all kinds of edibles. She's coming out with a new cookbook and stuff. So I'm really excited about that particular episode because I learned a lot from her. And that's one of the reasons why I love having people on my show as guests, because I am often learning alongside all my listeners.
Do you know Anne?
Of course I do.
I was gonna say, like,
yes,
that's how I met. That's true. That's how I met you. I was like,
yes,
wait a minute.
Anne has definitely been on my show.
Yeah.
And the cool thing about Anne, I love Anne, and she's been on my show. I think it was last year, and we really bonded over a couple of things that she talked about in one of her cookbooks and on my show. And then we met in person at Camp Canna last year. So in Ontario, I think they have it in Alberta as well. They run these like adult summer camp weekends for cannabis lovers.
What?
And yeah, it was so much fun. It's just like the camp you went to as a kid. Or if you went to overnight camp as a kid, which I did. But they're usually religious. I grew up in a religious household, so they're like Christian camps and stuff. This is not that, but it still has all the fun activities like the archery and like the inflatables on the dock that you can go in. You could like take out canoes and stuff. And then they had like the Canna Olympics. But that whole thing was to say I met Anne in person at Camp Canna. And
that sounds so much fun.
She was as amazing in person as she was on my show. So lifelong friendship forged.
Yeah, I love it. I'm making so many different friends with people in Canada, Australia. We got some more Australia people coming on. I don't know what the hell accent that was. Sorry, everybody.
It sounded kind of Australian. I
It's
will
not, and
mention
then
as
it kind of
well.
like it just kind of dissipated there. I don't know what
Yeah,
happened.
but I will mention as well because like I've been doing my show for 5 years, and in North America, 75% of my and most of my listeners are North American. Um, Not all, but most, and 75% of them are in the United States. So I know
That's
a
hilarious.
ton of Americans just because I've been doing this show for so long, and now some of them are coming into the Bite Me Cannabis Club and all that kind of thing. So I do know a lot of Americans, and
I think our
that's
demographic is about the same.
yeah, I've met some pretty awesome people.
I'm
So
about 70-30
yeah,
here in like Canada.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, pretty much that. I have a few in Australia, but we're kind of building on that. There's just we got a new coffee shop coming up, but we've had some cool people. But yeah,
yeah,
dope. I love it. I love it. The networking and stuff. But that camp, oh my
yeah,
god, that sounds so amazing.
yeah,
I want to go back to that because I don't know, it just flashback of when I was in camp in like 5th grade.
right.
And we had to do silly things like take pictures and stuff, like take picture that like from the perspective of an ant or a bug or
Right.
something, and just
I
some
mean, this
random
was
shit.
like they had all kinds of activities, but of course, you didn't have to participate in anything if you didn't. You could just go and do your own thing if you wanted, and you could smoke weed while you're doing all of
I'm
it.
an
All of
overachiever
it.
at that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Sitting at home, I'm an underachiever. I'm not doing none of that.
right.
But going to the camp, I'm obnoxious. I'll be like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. Yeah. So maybe I need to look into something like that. But awesome. I want to thank you very much for coming on here. And then maybe in the future we can collab on yours and maybe drop a recipe or
Yeah, I would love that. Yeah.
heck yeah. Do you want to shout out anybody before we go?
Shout out anybody. Oh, I wasn't prepared for that question. I mean,
Uh-oh.
Anne is one like Anne and I'm drawing a blank. I think it's Alexis, and I'm not sure she had co-founders. She's the one that's running Camp Canna. So they're both pretty awesome people for sure. It's hard to just shout out a couple people because there's so many.
I did put you on the spot.
Yeah, there's so many cool people that I've met over the years doing this podcast.
Shout out cool
Not
people.
just like not just the other like creators and stuff, but just even the people who are listening to my show. Like there's people that have been listening to my show for a little while and I've gotten to know them a little bit, and that's a really cool thing about doing what I'm doing as well, which I love. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely shout out to everyone listening, watching, and stuff like that. We really appreciate you. I know I do. I know Margaret does. Anybody, because I don't know. We kind of do this stuff from our hearts. We're not Joe Rogan. We're not making a bunch of money.
Yeah. Yeah. No
It's just-
$100 million deals for me yet, but
no, I don't have a dollar deal. I mean, we have some sponsors here and there, but like it's
yeah.
I don't want to put their business out, how much that is. But yeah, so I just want to thank you. I want to thank Anne for helping us come together network. I want to thank all of Canada. I love you, if other people don't, but also don't mess with my national anthem. I'm a veteran. It's not going to work out well for you. But heck yeah. Thank you very much for coming. This has been dope. We're going to collab in the future, maybe even have you back on here. But you have a good one, everyone. Thank you. Love you. Shout out House of Utopia. Got gummies and chocolate shrooms. We got tea bags. This is fuck it. Phuket. That's an actual place. And then shout out Blazing Amazing Cookies guys. High Vibes Arizona, Liquid Karma. If you're on here, whatever, shout out to you. Shout out to you listening, watching. But thanks again, Margaret. It's been great.
With love and compassion, we'll find our way. From the battlefield to a brighter day.